While the leaks are a controversial topic in the community, I would appreciate keeping my comments spoiler-free, respecting those who do not wish to see it. Many of the more mysterious places in the Legend of Zelda series have been found in the sky and below the ground. These prominent locations have appeared and seemingly vanished with no trace. Tears of the Kingdom is expanding a world deep below the earth and high above the clouds, prompting thought about what these locations will hold. Which underground locations have left questions unanswered? What connections do the floating structures have with the societies in the distant past? How does the green energy tie into all of this? I am Moxie, and this is Heavy Speculation. In this special episode, I am joined by another Zelda creator you may have heard of already. The one, the only, Hyrule Gamer.
Hey folks, how are y'all doing? I am very happy to be joining Moxie in this video, and I am looking forward to getting right into some deep speculation and discussion regarding the very intriguing, highly anticipated, upcoming installment to the Legend of Zelda series, Tears of the Kingdom.
If you wouldn't mind doing me the honors.
As per the title of the series, sometimes there won't be a ton of evidence. However, the Zelda community needs more fun speculative theories to add to the conversations around these games. If you like Zelda lore, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free and helps a ton. Let's jump right on in.
The ancient Cistern is a place filled with spirituality, representing the duality of good and evil. The dungeon seems to be depicting the short story, The Spider's Thread. For more on that, check out Nintendo Black Crisis' and Zelda Lore's videos on the Ancient Cistern, linked in the description. There appears to be function to the temple. The red pools seem to add to the mystery of this location, and is one of the earliest forms of malice seen in the series. Looking on the map, the Cistern is positioned between the sealed grounds and Lake Floria. Keep in mind the sealed grounds is where the earth cracked wide and Demise's minions murdered and burnt down cities. Pools of malice likely seep out from the sealed grounds. Water flows out from below the ground, as there is no water source like a river or a lake on the upper part of this platform. A water purification system was built. This could be a location Zora kept secret, as they are historically in charge of Hyrule's water sources. It would be interesting to see a return of this location, possibly to purify Hyrule's water sources, since a more abundant amount of malice is visible in the new footage.
Hyrule Castle Town seen in the Minish Cap has a series of tunnels beneath the town. There are a few different entrances into these tunnels, but they are certainly man-made going off their design. They don't play a massive role in the grand scheme of the game, but there are a few goodies to grab down here.
Another location in this game worth exploring is the ancient mining facility. This place was the site of a massive operation for the refinement of timeshift stones, which could power the generators and the ancient robots. There are several things I continue to revisit. Power generators keep the operation going. They are found in the main area of Lanayru, and within the sand ship. The facility has Hylian writing, which is easily translated. This large screen tells a story. The belt conveyor system has a server that is likely powered by the generator. It controls the gates and the doorways, and also displays the status of each. Since 3 of these are online, it reads,
Alright.
The people who built this facility had servers in the first game of the series. This is speculated to be the very same fuel that powers the ancient technology in Breath of the Wild.
The Arbiter's Grounds. An extremely fascinating location found in the Gerudo Desert. A callback to the iteration of the grounds seen in Twilight Princess. The grounds were once an impregnable prison for the worst criminals of Hyrule. Ganondorf himself was once sentenced to execution here. By the time of Breath of the Wild, all we find are ruins poking out from the sand. The grounds may have been built to sink, and there is likely a lot down below for us to hopefully explore.
In Oracle Seasons, under Holodrum is a massive subterranean lava world, and is home to the Subrosians. It is only accessible by one of 7 portals scattered throughout the world. Link must locate the Temple of Seasons when it sinks to this place to recover the Rod of Ages. He returns later to retrieve the final essence of nature. The Subrosians appear to have some control over their portals to their world. Portals are not always open. They seem to disappear and reappear at unknown intervals. While this does take place in Holodrum, it would be really cool to see this society return.
The horrifying history of the royal family of Hyrule is seen in the Shadow Temple in Ocarina of Time. Accessible via an entrance at the back of Kakariko Graveyard, this location is truly chilling. It's an underground torture dungeon to say it outright. It's a location that the royal family of Hyrule tried their best to hide and possibly still are. The Shadow Temple is a Zelda definition of dark.
One of the locations that could reappear is the Sky Keep. This location was part of the Temple of Hylia, and was lifted in the sky with a massive land when Demise appeared. Using the Triforce, Demise was eradicated. However, in a twist of events, Girahim kidnaps Zelda with the intention of resurrecting Demise. And he succeeds. In an epic final showdown, Link beats Demise. But, of course, he has to have the final word. He curses the hero and the reincarnation of Hylia to suffer in a cycle that would never end. His residual consciousness was absorbed into the true Master Sword, nerfing it into the sword needing various blessings and upgrades throughout the series. With the Master Sword appearing ravaged beyond repair, it would be fair to conclude Demise's consciousness escaped the sword. Ganondorf may raise the Sky Keep to allow more enemies to flow from it. This would be a catastrophic event for Hyrule. At the end of Skyward Sword, the sky and this floating rock is all that is known. No one is really aware of the surface. When the Sky Keep fell to the surface, most of the people in Skyloft were left wondering where their beloved deity went. Presumably, not everyone left Skyloft. How could the inhabitants of this place have developed since the ancient past? The Light Tower is a key location on Link's quest to eradicate Demise, and shares similar architectural qualities with the Sky Keep.
The Thunderhead in Skyward Sword is a massive storm cloud found in the sky. Surrounded by several tornadoes and strong winds, it is an intimidating sight whilst flying by. On the inside, you can find the infected Leviathan, Levias, plagued by the parasite, Billowsight, who we do help out. Levias watches over the sky. The Thunderhead also houses the Isle of Songs, a very important location during Link's quest in this adventure. There isn't much known about the Thunderhead's origins, however.
The Leviathan are a massive whale-like creature inhabiting the sky. There are 3 that are known of in the series: Levias, the Windfish, and the Ocean King. Dreams mimic reality. Anthony Smith suggested in one of my comments that the Windfish visited locations that make up Koholint Island, with Catfish Maw representing the outside of the ancient Cistern, or, possibly, the Great Bay Temple. Animal Village being similar to the Haunted Grove from A Link to the Past. In Link's Awakening, waking up the Windfish makes the island disappear. A similar event happens in Phantom Hourglass, with the Ocean King prompting Link and his gang to return to their world. They are able to make physical places in their dreams. They create their own worlds. These events suggest that the Leviathan species possess the ability to alter reality.
The City in the Sky is an advanced location seen in Twilight Princess. It is the home of the Oka tribe and flourishes thanks to their advanced technology. It's unlike anything else seen across the game, running on highly powerful propellers that keep the city up in the air, and it's filled with lots of key lore. For example, the Oka handing down the Dominion Rod when they still had contact with the royal family of Hyrule. They also left the ancient Skybook, said to be given only to the messenger to the heavens.
The Palace of Winds is a vast set of floating buildings above Hyrule's surface, and is used as Vati's base of operations in Four Swords. This wasn't always the case. In Minish Cap, the palace is guarded by the Wind Tribe, for the purpose of guarding the wind element. It's worth noting that the Palace of Winds has a similar design and architecture to the new footage from Tears of the Kingdom. Many other channels have covered this idea, including Super Zelda Girl. There will be a link in the description below. One of the more important points made was that the spiral symbol the Zonai use is a symbol for the wind and the Wind Tribe. The Fortress of Winds is another location connected to the tribe. The Triforce and the spirals are details carved into the pillars and arches. It's important to take a note here and remind each of you watching, this channel is about heavily speculating. There may not be much evidence. A lot of this is going on gut instinct on what the developers are trying to convey through the subtext of each of these carefully crafted games. With that said, let's get to speculating.
To start this area of speculation off, I have to say this. The Arbiter's Grounds is one of the coolest locations in the entire series. Seeing it return in Tears of the Kingdom would build on the already amazing content seen in Twilight Princess. When it comes to my speculation on how this location could turn out in Tears of the Kingdom, there are 2 routes to take. Firstly, the possibility of when/if it lifts up that we are met with deeper levels that we haven't seen before, or that we'll explore the section that is lifted above the ground. Starting with opening up to deeper levels, there is a ton of potential here. We already know there will be underground exploration, and this could just add to it. What we saw in Twilight Princess was already a very in-depth prison. With lower levels on the cards, there could be some very dark secrets down here. You must remember that this place was home to the worst and most dangerous criminals Hyrule has ever seen, Ganondorf himself included. Going to deep levels can only mean one thing: even more dangerous threats that were so threatening to the kingdom, they had to be kept this deep down. That would make for a very cool dungeon to explore, or even just a location to explore. A must, if that is the case, would be a recreation of the Star-Lord fight. This battle was one of the best in the series, and seeing something like it in this newer art style would be insanely cool. As for the other route, what if we were to explore in Arbiter's grounds, but in the sky? Well, this would take the cake. An older in-the-ground dungeon, now lifted to the heavens above. This is a very real possibility, and the speculation here is crazy, but bear with me. The way I could see this happening as it lifts up, it takes on a completely different layout. Different parts in different places, blocks and rooms rearranged. A very much returning, but completely different looking location. This would serve as a sky dungeon / challenge that Link needs to take on, and I speculate that it would have a heavy tie into Ganondorf. Whether that be information regarding him in this adventure, or it be him influencing this location. For all we know, the reason it lifts could be his doing in an attempt to salvage the remains of the Mirror of Twilight, to boost his effects in turning the world into a land of darkness.
One thing brought to my attention by Banoon was that the third Leviathan is unregistered. She knows this because she went to a museum asking them to identify this animal. And they politely told her they had no idea. In order to see this skeleton unobscured from the water or the walls, we embarked on an adventure to try and understand how to extract the assets from this game. And we figured it out too. These images are the result of hours of work. At first glance, it doesn't seem to reveal any new information. Then again, it does appear to share some notable characteristics with the Dodongo. Notice the shape of the skull. There's a horn protruding out of the middle of the back of the head. Compared to the other remains found in Breath of the Wild, this skeleton seems to lack mobility in the neck. Note the range of motion available to these skeletons, compared to this one. This creature likely couldn't turn their head, just looks slightly up and down, sort of like a Dodongo. They share a similar shape and structure. However, there appears to be fins as opposed to claws. Evolution could have adapted their size, as reptiles typically grow larger in massive spaces. Dodongo's cavern is, well, a cavern. This place may exist in Hebra. Then again, it could still be a Leviathan. One of the many places featured for Tears of the Kingdom has been the swirling storm over Hebra. While this could be a normal storm, it could be concealing a structure. To me, it peeks out in moments where the lightning strikes. However, later on in the trailer, it is all but confirmed there is a structure above this location. It is curious given the amount of Zonai structures appearing to be the very same structures that are lifted in the sky. These doors always puzzled me. Why are there just doors? The closest Zonai location to this location is North Lome Labyrinth, so why here? The Zonai could have felt a responsibility to preserve the remains of this being, considering their high regard for animals and deities alike. The use of the Timeshift Stones were able to rehabilitate Lanayru in Skyward Sword. This could be the very reason this area was protected. Link had to knock down the doors to enter the shrine. The Zonai may have convened with this being, much like how Link meets with Jaboon in Ocarina of Time. This could be what stirs up the storm in Hebra, just like how Levias had resided in There are undeniable connections between all these things, and opens the doors to a realm of possibilities, such as a quest for the Triforce involving the Leviathan. I imagine these doors are connected to a massive underground structure. This is what I believe is hovering above Hebra, shown toward the end of the trailer.
Oh man, the city in the sky. This is a location that I have a lot to say about. Not only is a full-on floating city high in the sky incredibly cool, it also holds a ton of gold and lore in the series. In Twilight Princess, we learned a lot from this one place alone. It has an integral part in Hyrule's history in regards to the Yoka and their advanced technology, some of which was gifted to Hyrule. Anyway, we'll talk about that again shortly, but off the bat, this location has extreme potential to be brought back in some way, shape or form. It's safe to assume, in my opinion, that the city has remained somewhere in the heavens since the events of Twilight Princess. Back then, we could only access it via Fire's cannon. Yup, we were literally blasted into the sky to reach here. How times have changed. In Tears of the Kingdom, we are set to explore the skylands above Hyrule, and whilst they mostly seem new to us, there is absolutely nothing to say that old locations can't return. I mean, reoccurring locations is a very common theme all throughout the series. Looking at the city in the sky in Twilight Princess, it is much higher up than most of the islands we've seen so far in Tears of the Kingdom. Now, considering Link reaches the city via a cannon, that does tell us it can only be so high up. But then again, it is a video game. Either way, it is not far-fetched by any means to suggest that when we get to explore the true scale of the Skylands in this game, that we could come across this now extremely ancient city. Once located, the possibilities of what's inside now and what could come from finding it are insane. Let me take a deep breath here and let's talk about some ideas. The big one that comes to my mind is seeing how the city has progressed and developed in the time between the two games. We don't know an exact time, but we know it's been a while. Yet another highly advanced civilization in the series. A lot has probably changed since we last visited this place. I would also suggest that it has some sort of tie-in to the new islands we're seeing. That's where my first idea really begins. I would love to see the city in the sky teaching us a lot of new history and lore regarding the Skylands. Like I said, a lot of what we're seeing is new, but I cannot express how cool it would be for this ancient city to be lurking up here as well, and serve as a big old history lesson. We cleared the dungeon once before, and personally I can live without it being reused as one. I would prefer to see it thriving. Now, I'm not saying I want to see the Yoka again, but hey, it'd be cool. Maybe in the time between games they've changed, or even left and the city is now self-sufficient. Anything can work due to how long it's been.
The titty chickens are somehow the masters of engineering, despite their lack of arms. They created the sky cannons and may have somehow participated in the creation of the Temple of Time. I like to think of them as architects of the goddesses. They are capable of building giant hovering machines, and given the existence of the divine beasts, imagine how much more they could have technologically advanced their society. There is even evidence of their existence. Within the footage of the new trailer, in a shot of Link using the gyro puzzle, there is a rupee-like shape etched in the side. This is much like the shape in the city in the sky, but that is not the only place this shape is seen. It is also on many of the boxes in Skyward Sword. The same orange and green from Tears of the Kingdom is the same colors from Lanayru Desert area.
Additionally, we should also consider the mysterious green energy we've been seeing a lot of in these trailers. There would be a strong chance of us learning more on that if this was to all happen, part of learning that lost history. The similarities in design and colour across the different energies and powers seen would line up well.
The Zonai tractor appears to be powered by this green energy. This is much like how the giant green generators powers the mining facility. The sand ship also seems to be powered by this green energy, with these massive generators powering the ship. The Oka could have been the engineers of these robots. Considering that Skipper's boat had a cannon that may have been a prototype for the sky cannons. If the Oka were assisting Hylia with the building of the mining facility, and Skyloft was lifted in the sky, the Oka would want a way to get back to the sky. This further solidifies a connection the Oka may share with the ancient technology, because there are too many coincidences here. There could even be connections the Twilight share with the ancient technology based on the fused shadow, resembling the generators from Skyward Sword.
A second idea that I sort of brushed past is the undeniable possibility of it being a dungeon once again. Whilst it wouldn't be my preference, I certainly wouldn't be unhappy if this was the case. I mean, how can one say that a floating sky dungeon isn't cool? You know what? It would be pretty damn cool, in a similar way to how exploring the Arbiter's grounds again would be. There'd be a chilling feeling of what was once here. In this case, in this idea, perhaps the city didn't prosper and develop as I previously speculated it could have. Looking at it from this perspective, we could see the city in ruin, far from what it was back in the day. A lost city, if you will, taken over by new airborne threats that we'll need to battle our way past in order to learn what happened. This would be a complete curveball to discover in the sky, as what we've seen so far up here appears very elegant. Finding a ruined city in the sky would send chills down your spine. I'm getting very creative now, but just imagine exploring the higher up areas of the sky and entering a storm. After failing to navigate through it, you're swept by the wind into the vanity of the ancient and now ruined city in the sky. A new take on a former dungeon. After all, this is a lot of heavy speculation and some of my crazy ideas. You never know. We'll just have to wait and see.
There must be a connection to these games from all these major past titles, all pointing to a piece of the puzzle missing in the overall story that connects everything together. I was starting to come to similar conclusions myself when I came across this in my research. This mind-blowing epiphany was posted on Lovrolian Historian's Tumblr. His conclusions were jaw-dropping. I highly recommend you follow everything he does. His work has been integral to this community. In this post, he elegantly outlines the great conspiracy of Hylia's ancient magic wielders who ascended into the sky. It reads as follows. 1. Humans under the protection of goddess Hylia advanced their civilization using powerful magic. 2. Because of the invasion of the Demon King, the surviving humans were saved by the goddess, by being sent skyward above the clouds. 3. Thousands of years later, in following the defeat of the Demon King, the mortal incarnation of Hylia and her chosen hero returned to the surface to protect the Triforce. Many others follow suit. 4. Humanity begins to progress once more, spreading across the world. Many groups begin to develop in their own way. One such group arises around the descendants of Hylia, calling themselves Hylians. 5. Another group, proficient in magic, use their connection with the winds to lift their civilization into the sky. They maintain contact with their earthbound kin for many years thereafter. These skyfolk go by the name the Tribe of Winds. 6. Eventually, a rivalry ensues over the control of the sacred land of Hylia itself, and the golden prize kept there. Many lives are lost as the fires of war rage on. Among the combatants are some of the sorcerers, who use their powers to subjugate the sacred land. 7. The gods themselves intervene, dispatching the spirits of light to seal away the magic powers those individuals had mastered, and banish them into the shadow world of infinite twilight. These poor souls transform under the endless golden half-light into the twilight race. 8. The remaining sky dwellers lose contact with the surface world over the intervening years, essentially disappearing from the historical world. The remnants of their ancient civilization, sophisticated and numerous, become a mystery to the people of Hyrule. The Zonai civilization remnants in the sky, appearing in better shape than the relics seen weathered and ruined on the surface below, the dragon motifs alone confirm this to be true. This was posted on Lovrolian Historian's Tumblr, which will be linked in the description below. In addition, the royal family could have been experimenting with this green energy. However, it goes horribly wrong. They decided to cover their tracks, burying the evidence under Kakariko Village. One last structure worth mentioning is the goddess statue. The Forgotten Temple appears to be disassembled in a spiral-like shape leading up to Hylia. One of my favorite theories I have ever done is the Forgotten Temple. It went live hours before Nintendo Direct was announced. Please take some time whenever you have it and give it a watch. I promise the theory will surprise you. From the spooky caves to the peaks of these mysterious structures, from the edge of the desert to the shores of the sea, hopefully Tears of the Kingdom will fill in the cracks of our understanding about the Legend of Zelda series. A huge thank you to Hyrule Gamer for joining us in this very special episode of Heavy Speculation.
Thank you very much for having me on, and I gotta say, it has been a pleasure working with you. I've currently got a lot of Tears of the Kingdom content in the works, as well as the other video we did together over on my channel. If you want to check that out, head over to my channel. Until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.
Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe, and put your thoughts and ideas, theories, and outrage in the comments section below. I'll see you in the next one.